This is Steve Eimers. I want to talk to you about the Lindsay X-lite Guardrail End Terminal, the state of New Hampshire, and their DOT, Governor Chris Sununu, and specifically an individual named Keith Cota. This document here is a letter from the Tennessee State Department of Transportation. It was dated April 4th, 2017. It was sent by Commissioner John Schroer, who is also the president of the American Association of State Highway Transportation Officials. This letter is posted on the Federal Highway Administration of the United States website. In this letter, the commissioner raised concerns about bolt torque specifications involving the X-lite's shear bolts. He also noted unclear installation instructions and several piercing incidents and deaths involving this product, and cited the Schroer defect, where he says, "We have observed the impact ahead of the unit, separating horizontally from the adjacent W-beam guardrail, sliding past this adjacent section of W-beam, which then could and has penetrated a cabin." Multiple people in the state of Tennessee were killed, and the commissioner of DOT announced a multi-million-dollar removal and replacement of the X-lite because it was resulting in unacceptable safety levels. This issue has gotten the attention of other state DOTs. Virginia DOT ran independent crash testing, which showed very poor performance. And to test, the vehicles rolled over violently, and the performance was horrific. I have written to every governor in the country and DOTs across the world. I've written repeatedly to Governor Chris Sununu, individuals with the State Department of Transportation, the Attorney General of the state of New Hampshire, and leaders in the state Senate, and the response has been lacking. This issue has gathered the attention of United States senators and congressmen, including Congressman John Duncan, who is chairman of the Transportation Committee, or vice chairman of the Transportation Committee of the United States Congress, and he has repeatedly pressed for oversight. Multiple states beyond Tennessee are now doing multi-million-dollar recalls. Virginia, Nebraska is removing their X-lite inventory. New York is removing their X-lite inventory. Rhode Island is doing a multi-million-dollar recall of the X-lite from the roadside. In fact, 15 states are spending close to $40 million to remove and replace X-lite guardrail end terminals from the roadside. And in New Hampshire, in April of 2017, the recommendation was made to seek replacement of X-lite terminals on Tier 1 and 2 roadways having posted speeds of 45 miles per hour or higher. I believe the individual that made this recommendation was an individual named Keith Cota, an engineer at New Hampshire DOT. And this is not just anyone that made this recommendation. This would be like you going to Sunday school and Jesus showing up and saying, "I think we need to do this." And you say, "Well, I think I know better than you, Jesus." Keith Cota is the leading expert on guardrail safety and roadside hardware in the world. He has participated in other safety analysis of guardrail and treatments and concerns. Keith Cota is the project manager for New Hampshire DOT, the chief project manager. On the Committee on Design, Technical Committee on Roadside Safety, Keith Cota is the chair of that committee. Keith Cota lectures on the implementation of AASHTO's Manual for Assessing Safety Hardware, the crash testing standards on which all roadside hardware in the United States and across the world in the United States is tested. Keith Cota wrote the book on crash testing and is considered the father of the MASH testing standards. There is no one with more credibility on guardrail safety anywhere in the world than Keith Cota, and he made the recommendation to remove and replace the X-lite, and New Hampshire ignored him. And a young mother was killed in a guardrail crash in Londonderry, New Hampshire, where an X-lite guardrail was impacted, and a child in the back seat was critically injured. The New Hampshire DOT confirmed that an X-lite guardrail was impacted. Now, they have withheld pertinent details related to the performance of that device and have yet, over a year later, to release that information. But what I have found is that it appears not only did they ignore Cota's earlier recommendation to remove and replace that device, it appears that guardrail end terminal was not properly installed. And they were notified before that incident that they needed to promptly address any issues noted. Now, I'm going to step back here and make one point. The X-lite is inherently defective, and while it can be, I don't believe it can be properly installed any more than a pregnant mother can be given a proper dose of thalidomide. It is inherently defective and deadly. But New Hampshire DOT had multiple prior notice, and they failed to act. And a young mother is dead after impacting the Lindsay X-lite guardrail end terminal. Governor Sununu has thus far ignored the president of AASHTO. He's ignored independent crash testing. He has ignored the response of 15 other states removing and replacing this device from the roadside. Governor Sununu has ignored Rhode Island's concerns about quality. He's ignored Maryland's decision to remove the X-lite from the roadside based on an engineering decision. He has ignored the constructability challenges and dozens and dozens and dozens of incidents that conform with the Commissioner of Tennessee DOT's concern that I have sent them. The governor was elected to lead in New Hampshire. Governor Sununu, it is time to put up or shut up. The X-lite is inherently defective. You have 111 of these on your roadside. It is time to follow the lead of 15 other states and get this deadly product off your roadside before anyone else in your state pays for your mistake with their life.